Alright folks, Char Mle 75. Let's deep dive into what the hell is this thing. Practically Wargaming telling me that they want to sell the EBR, without telling me they want to sell the cars again, practically. So it looks like a torn VOD from the Swedes that got stepped on. A little bit, but the size of it is a lot bigger than what I expect from the super test. So yeah, it's not exactly a small light tank per se. Looks about the same size as a Batchat 25T, just with a smaller turret. So unmanned turret in that sense, but premium tier 9 French light tank makes more credit. XP yada yada. It's a paper tank practically. Highly compact and maneuverable. Sure. I mean, yeah, okay. It's supposed to be very fast if you're turning into the turbo mode, but otherwise it has a burst fire gun. A burst fire 100mm, but that doesn't show it right here for some reason. So 6 shell in the magazine. It's supposed to burst fire for 3 rounds very quickly. So it's like a M16 on a tank practically. 200mm of pin, which is not great. 200 alpha, also not great. But then again, if you manage to pin all 3 shells, that's 600 alpha. Okay, I mean, crew of 3 fits all the French light tanks, so nothing to complain, or the EBRs for that matter. Alright, so let's take a look at the firepower of the gun. So, reloads at 44 seconds for the 6 rounds. 3.5 seconds between both bursts. Now, originally on the super test, there were different iterations. So you have a different version of the burst gun while in standard mode, and one more shot or one less shot in turbo mode. So there were 2 versions of the gun technically, but they changed that. It was way too confusing, way too hard to program, I guess. But now it's just 2 bursts of 3 rounds. 3.5 seconds between both bursts. Turret traverse is pretty quick. Very quick. Holy crap. 68 degrees per second. 8 degrees gun depression, 15 elevation. Aim time is 2.7 normally, and 3.3-ish in turbo mode. 0.36 accuracy. DPM is crap, so practically it's like a ELC EVEN, but it's big. It is kind of big of a vehicle. So here is the Batchat. Take a quick memorization of the size, I guess, but yeah, it's practically the same size as a Batchat 12T, just a smaller turret. So it's not exactly like a ELC EVEN or even like a Panhard EBR, right? So it's kind of big for our scout. So oof, I mean, is the gun worth it in terms compared to the EBR 90? Oh, it depends. I mean, shell velocity is alright for AP round, so 200mm of pin is still kind of crap at tier 9. Gold shell is 240, which is still okay. I mean, halfway decent, but not really. It's alright. It's still a scout tank. And high explosive, which is way more alpha than it should have. 370 compared to the normal 200, but obviously penetration is not as good. So I wouldn't think you're using this high explosive round against other light tanks. That's the only other reason I could think of. So I mean, just run around and scout like what you should do. But gun wise, dispersion factor is 0.17 for moving, which is average. I mean, not really that good compared to the EBR, but turret traverse dispersion is very good, so 0.04. I think that's better than the EBR. So debatable how good this gun is, but it has very low ammo capacity for that alpha, so potential damage is really low, and therefore you have to really rely on your teammates to kill stuff. Otherwise, you're just running around like an idiot. So, turning into the turbo mode, you have even worse, or a lot worse, turret traverse dispersion. Accuracy is the same, so they changed that from the super test. Aim time is different. Okay, top speed gets dramatically better to 78, as well as reverse speed, horsepower per ton ratio, yada yada. Turn traverse speed gets a lot slower. All right, camo gets worse. View range gets worse. Huh. Well, that's kind of unfortunate. Let's compare this with the EBR to see which gun is better. Yeah, it's a burst fire gun that has more pen, but it has less DPM. Why is the DPM different on the public test than the actual game file? It says 1465, whereas it actually has only 1100. What the hell? Alright, there's some discrepancy, I guess, but the same accuracy baseline, not as good while moving. Obviously not as good while moving, but better traverse for the turret dispersion. A higher caliber of a gun, slightly slower shell velocity, and it costs a lot more for less alpha than the actual normal tier 9 car. Huh? I mean, you have more PIM, but the alpha to shell cost comparison is dramatically different. You're paying more than double for less alpha by, like what, 25%, 20%? Holy crap. The gun is, well, you're not supposed to use the gun that frequently, so it's like a ELC, EVN. Okay, fine. Switching the Panhard into turbo mode. Can I switch it here? No, I can't. Damn it. But yeah, I mean, in turbo mode, actually I did. Well, 78 is not 83. It's kind of weird. Yeah, the gun is not reliable. It has the gimmick of the burst, but they don't show it on here. It's not a salvo. Fine. I mean, from the super test, it was a burst. So, unless it's becoming like a one-shot cyclic gun with 3.5 seconds between each shot for the 6 rounds, then that is pretty slow. So, don't know how they're going to model that, but if it becomes like one shot for 6 rounds, then it's pretty bad. So it needs the burst. Otherwise, yeah, DPM's not gonna get beat. Yeah, it's not that good. Health, no, it's a light tank, so no health. And armor-wise, 60 at the hull front, 50 at the turret front. There's practically no armor. Yeah, it's all green, super green. Yeah, super green, like what Chris Tucker says. Super, very green. Oh god, I mean, yeah, you're not bouncing shots. There's no way. And it is the size of a bat chat, so it's not a small target also. Getting hit by artillery also hurts. It's 15 for the engine deck. 15 for the top of the turret. And 15 for all of the turret. 30 for some parts. Ugh. Yeah, it has no armor. Why we're even talking about this? There's no armor for you to worry about. Alright, moving on to the actual mobility. So, weighs about 30-ish tons, so more than the EBRs, obviously, but engine power gets boosted into the turbo mode from 33.8-ish horsepower per ton ratio to 47, which is pretty quick to rev up, but top speed could be better, 55, reverse of 20. It's like a medium tank, but in turbo mode, it's 78 to 45, so a lot better, but hull traverse is quick. Time to switch is 1 second. I think it's like the Polish medium tanks where you cannot switch while moving like the EBR, so you have to stay still or the tank comes to a halt when you're switching. But I wonder if you can just switch on the fly, so the vehicle will stop moving but you're switching, and you can just keep going with the inertia while switching to the turbo mode and just continue to drive on. So you'll get a slowdown, but you won't stop, hopefully. Otherwise, if you really have to stop to switch into siege mode, like the STRV S tanks, then this is kind of bad. So I don't think, I haven't played the Polish medium tanks in a while, so I wonder if you have to stop actually, like completely halt before you can actually switch. That might be a problem, but terrain resistance is medium tankish, so it's not like the EBRs, so it'll get bogged down, but Effective top speed will still get there. It will still take a while, a little bit, but yeah, the engine power boost in turbo mode is dramatically more effective for the horsepower per turn ratio compared to the cars, but you have to switch into it. So you're more defenseless and larger target, but supposedly you're faster to rev up than the cars, even though you're slower in terms of top speed. Alright, I mean, there's the size of it is a big downside, big weakness to the vehicle, right? I mean, EBRs are fast enough, whereas the ELC EV is small enough for the lack of horsepower per ton ratio or top speed, but this thing is fast. However, it is big, so you take some, you give some. It has the same camo rating as a Batchat practically, but it keeps it while moving. It decreased the camo rating while in turbo mode. Fine. View range is 370, 350 in turbo mode, so it gets a cut in view range while in turbo mode. I mean, compared to the EBR 90 has only like what? 330? Yeah, 330 meters of view range. So you do get more view range, but the downside is you're bigger. Is that worth it? Is the gun worth it too? The gun's not really worth it. But hey, it's a premium, so makes more credit, I guess. Crew trainer and all this stuff. And tier 9, so the new hotness after the introduction of tier 9 premiums now. Gun depression, keyhole shape, no gun depression at the back, of course, for the engine deck. Nothing really out of the ordinary. Holy crap, it has less engine health than the EBR. Less track health, even though it doesn't have a track, or it doesn't have wheels, but oh, whatever. Repair time is a lot quicker. Fuel tank health is less. Camo rating is a lot less. It weighs more, so about double the size of the EBRs, but hey. Oof. Well, let's talk equipment on this thing. Oh man, it's an autoloader light tank, so it's like the AMX 1390 in a sense. And I think better view range is always best, so obviously coated optics will help out dramatically with the view range. You want to have speed, you don't have the size, so turbocharger is likely a second. And for the last equipment, oof, you don't need firepower slots, so these equipments are mostly useless unless the vents is what you're aiming for, so you don't need vertical stabilizer or improve aiming, all the other stuff, you don't need it. Don't even think about the health buffs or the modified configuration, which is basically toolbox. Yeah, you don't need that. You could use commander vision system, which is important for bushes, or you can also use vents to help out with everything else. You could stack vision system, like that's what every other light tank players are doing, which is the commander vision system and coated optics. You can stack it together with turbocharger. Not a bad choice. If you feel like you want to use the gun more, or having better, a little bit more traverse mobility, I guess, use vents for that matter, but I'll go with the commander vision system. So this will help out with the bushes and stuff. You can also use vents. Vents are good, but overall, yeah, the top speed is still only slightly under 60 kilometers per hour, and you have to go into turbo mode. So going into turbo mode will cut the view range. Maybe you want vents to help out with the view range while in turbo mode, but then again, CVS also helps out, so that is debatable. Let me see the actual tanks.gg layout. So we want optics, we want turbocharger, and we want CVS. Alright, so with that, fine, in turbo mode, it's about 390 meters per sec, or view range, meters of view range. It's alright for a fast, active scout, but the thing is, it doesn't have the camo as the EBRs, right? So it's a big, chunky target, moving very quickly. So if you get hit, it's game over. Whereas getting hit on the EBR is a little bit more difficult. So I don't know if you want to have more view range. You could put a passive scouting playstyle on this vehicle. That might be more worthwhile than active scouting since you're a big ass target. But what about vents? Vents help out. Wow. Well, about 10 more meters of view range, but nah, I mean some maps don't have bushes. That's the downside of CVS, but it's up to you guys. It's kind of weird how this equipment modification to the turbo mode, but let's take a look at field mods. So, better engine power or better top speed? Obviously, better top speed. It already has enough engine power, especially with the turbocharger. It already has enough. You could put additional grousers for better terrain resistance, which is, yeah, also pretty effective, but the turbocharger gives top speed boost, so that's a big plus. So I think might be better top speed. Yeah, better top speed is always good. The autoloader has better DPM or better accuracy. DPM gets buffed by 40, a big old 40. Useless. Gets better accuracy. Yeah, better accuracy is always better. Yeah, you don't need that much. Oh, 40 more DPM. Ooh la la. That's nothing, right? Lightweight spalling protection, so better protection against high explosive, stun duration, and protection for the crew. And better reverse speed. Well, if you don't have the protection thing, the reverse speed, or if you already have the protection thing, the reverse speed is only 19, which is kind of slow for light tanks. Light tanks, I usually like about 25 or so, 23 for kilometers per hour reverse speed. Whereas dropping to 19 kind of feels detrimental to your poking spotting potential. So you have to go forwards a lot more. Whereas if you put this on, yes, you do have better reverse speed, but you have less protection against high explosives and stun duration, which is this vehicle are going to get shot at pretty well, more frequently than the EBRs because of the size of it. I mean, it could traverse in position, obviously, so if you're going to do that, might as well just use better protection. Just go forwards, turn around in a 180 degrees and just drive forwards away. But this is a toss-up. It's up to your preference. I still like my light tanks to have about at least 23 or 25 kilometers per hour top speed in reverse, but it's up to you guys. So this is a toss-up. And finally, better view range or better concealment. If you're active scouting, might as well go with better view range. It already doesn't have enough camo to justify better camo. But then again, holy crap, it still goes up to 18 compared to, so 2% increase, whereas view range gets buffed by like 7, 8-ish. Oh, I mean, it's a big target, so unless you're shooting the gun when you're not supposed to using the burst fire mode, then if you have more gun control or discipline, then you're not supposed to use the gun, therefore you don't lose the camo while moving, right? So therefore better camo is better than better view range. So many choices, it's not as clear cut. I think, yeah, better camo might be best. So you only use the gun where you're fighting off other light tanks, maybe shooting all high explosives. Maybe. But overall, I think this vehicle is very gimmicky, very team reliant, You won't have good games in this vehicle unless you're somewhat of a god against a bunch of, sheeps playing around doing nothing. So it's not the size of an EBR. You cannot outrun an EBR. That's the downside. The upside is you're heavier. You have a burst fire gun, so sometimes you could deal with EBRs by firing all high explosive in terms of the burst, and the high explosive deals a lot of damage, sure, so you can actually kill the EBRs with a 6-round burst, no question. But that's all you do for 1 minute, right? That's all the burst fire gun do. Otherwise you have to scout, and with the size of this vehicle, scouting is kind of hard. Yeah, active scouting is hard. You could passive scout. Passive scout is not half bad. You have the traverse. and engine power to rev up to get out of situations, hopefully. But originally I rated this vehicle as 7.5 out of 10. Holy crap. Yeah, that's unproven new mechanic doubtfulness. Yeah, that's very doubtful. Also, I did not think the vehicle was that huge. I mean, I thought it was the same size as a AMX-13 or something. No, it's not. It's the same size as a Batchat. So it's not 7.5. No, not even close now. If this was the same size as a AMX-13, like 90 or something, or AMX-13 105, if it's the same size as this, whole lot better. Whole lot better. But it's the same size as a Batchat. It is practically the same size as a Batchat. So yeah, it's not 7.5 out of 10. It's like a maybe 5.5. I mean, unproven still. We don't know how the burst fire gun do. It's still not even incorporated, I think, into the actual game description of a burst fire gun. So we'll only know that from the actual super test. It's a burst fire 3-round clip of a gun, or 3-round burst of a gun. But alright, I mean, yeah, 3-round burst gun, 5.5. Yeah, I think it's 5.5. It's the size of it, and it's not as fast as an EBR, so you cannot really outrun EBR, even though it has better engine power. So yeah, 5.5. So leave a comment below if you want to change my mind, but let me know what you guys think about this thing. Personally, as a premium tank, always I don't have a good disposition against light tanks as a premium, mostly because you cannot do anything when you're playing a premium light tank. You have to rely on your teammates to do everything for you. So that's why I don't really play premium light tanks. The fact that you don't earn as much credits while dealing the damage, so might as well just play with, you know, actual damage dealing light tanks. Oh, what the hell? Not the French. So yeah, I mean, some vehicles have high DPM or high explosive shells, like the Black Bulldog or the HWK-30. I mean, the high explosive works on these vehicles. You could put a rammer and make use of the 90mm, no question. But most of the light tanks, yeah, you're stuck with scouting. If your teammates are crap, then you're not doing anything, right? So, oof. Oh, there you go, folks. Model 75, Char Mle 75, 5.5 out of 10. It's alright. I mean, it's a gimmick, so it's still kind of big. It's a little bit better than the average, but that's not saying a lot. So, it's like a 49%, 50% win ratio vehicle, so average across the board. But thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.